Hey guys, Linda Vater here. You know, I do lots of container gardening, lots of evergreens, lots of flowering shrubs, even some small trees. And since they're not planted in the ground, during the winter they're going to need a little bit of additional protection because they don't have the earth itself to insulate them. So here are some things that I do to ensure that they make it through the winter. Number one, I know what my zone is. I'm in zone 7 and my average winter temperature gets down to about 27 degrees, not too extreme. Still, I make sure to check my 7-day temperature forecast. If temperatures do fall out the bottom and they get really, really cold, then I might take more extreme measures. Number 2, I make sure that they go into the winter really well hydrated and well watered. If it hasn't rained for a long time, I make sure to give them a good soak, and if it's a dry winter, I might even provide some supplemental watering during the winter months. Then I try to basically put them in places where they will be protected, where they can kind of huddle together to keep themselves warm in an area that is kind of protected from strong winds, from strong sun, and where the temperatures will stay relatively consistent. So I get my gear ready before I put them into place. And here is what I like to have on hand. Number 1, a good pair of garden gloves because they're heavy and sometimes slippery. Number 2, a good pair of pruners because on evergreens or really even deciduous, I can prune out any dead wood at any time of year. I want to make sure that they go into their winter hibernation really healthy. Then I want to make sure that I've got a really good battery operated blower that's not too heavy because I'm going to blow lots of leaves onto them to provide additional insulation and keep them warm and cozy as they're in storage. Then I check them before I put them into place to make sure that they don't have whitefly or spider mite or lace bugs because I don't want them to overwinter along with the root balls. So I might give them a spritz before I put them into place. And finally, for my really large pots, if they have to be moved, I have a good sturdy two-wheeler or a plant truck so that I can move them into an area that stays a little bit more protected. In general, the large pots can stay where they are, but I might give them some additional mulch, make sure that they're watered, maybe even give them a dose of compost going into the winter. So now let me take you to a couple of different areas where I'm going to overwinter some boxwood and some evergreens in small pots because they're especially vulnerable, and also some white wedding hydrangeas that I've been growing in pots all summer long. They're beautiful. I want them to stay in the pots for next season, so I'll show you where I put those. So come along with me. So this is area number 1. It's actually my potting shed area where I pot up a lot of my container plantings. It's also in a perfect location to overwinter these white wedding hydrangeas that I have growing in these resin pots because it's in a northeast corner where it will be protected from really strong southern sun and also from high winds and really cold temperatures. And it's an area, again, that I won't be using a lot in the wintertime. So what I do is take these resin pots. They're lightweight and they're easy to move around. This is, I think, the 3rd year for these white wedding hydrangeas in these pots. And basically, I just huddle them all together back here in the corner. And you'll notice that I don't prune them, I don't do anything. I leave all of their stems and whatever leafy canopy is on them, I leave that in place because I want them, that kind of helps protect the root balls. So I've got 2 more that I'm going to nestle back in the corner with this. This will be their 3rd year to overwinter here, and I've had great success with it. So let me get the other 2 and then I'll show you what else I do. So this is where my blower comes into play. I just blow all of the leaves, anything that's fallen off of my red buds or my Japanese maple, all of that as it falls, I blow back into the corner. And it nestles itself in between the pots, on top of the soil, wedges itself in between the branches, and all of that will serve to insulate and protect the plants in their pots. As the leaves continue to fall, I just continue to blow them in place. Now, one other additional measure I took to protect them is after I got them into position, I gave them a little bit extra compost mulch on top. I watered them again, and now all I have to do is just keep blowing this entire corner filled with leaves. And I promise I will have plenty to do the job. So here I am in what I think of as my boxwood corner. I've got all sorts of small baby gems, boxwood topiary, all potted up in small terracotta pots that will definitely need a little bit more protection over the cold winter months. So I'm doing the same thing here that I did with those hydrangeas, and I'm just going to put them all huddled together into a northeast corner. They'll get a little bit of residual heat off of that stone fireplace, so I'm going to move them all into place. So that was basically pretty easy. So now what happens is I get my blower and I basically just do the same thing over here. And I'm going to fill this corner up with lots of leaves as well. They will nestle themselves in between the pots, in between the branches, and they will really put a beautiful leafy blanket of protection onto all of them over the winter. As the leaves continue to fall, I will continue to blow and get them all into place. So there you have it, how I overwinter potted plants in my own garden.